just going to start the recording here.
The recording has begun.
And
is bigger better?
Welcome to BrainSell's presentation of Salesforce versus Sugar. Is bigger better? And again, we just have a few slides for you. Really just some quick introductions. I'm Sonja from BrainSell, and joined, of course, by just a tiny little bit on who BrainSell is. We do engineer smart growth with business savvy software and consulting. And fantastic stuff. We do represent both great platforms here, Salesforce and Sugar. And we have the engineering and anything from, switching systems to starting up brand new, migrating information. We handle all of that and have people certified to handle both platforms, and also marketing automation and accounting and ERP software as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to try to keep this well under an hour here. We're going to go over basic functionality comparison, difference between the two platforms. Is really to give you a good taste for how the two platforms behave and what they bring to the table, what the UI looks like.
This will be a good first comparison for those of you who want to see how the two platforms relate. But if you want to get more information, a deeper dive and a deeper comparison, then you need to contact us. But this is a high-level comparison. It may help you choose one or the other, but you may also want to go deeper.
Great. Pricing comparison right after the demos, and then Q&A, of course. And if we are able to take questions as we move through, we'll do that as well.
And put your questions in the question box now, so we'll try to get them as we're doing the demos, but then also at the end.
That's right. Excellent. We are going to minimize the webcam for 1 second. Got a bit of a slow connection here. Well, we talk about the next slide, kind of CRM the audience is using right now. So we're going to launch this poll. It's always just good to know who in the audience is using what out there. We have a few different choices: Salesforce, Sugar, Microsoft, other, or none. That's really good to know, and we're always gathering statistics. So if you take a second just to punch in your vote.
Yeah, in this marketplace, you really do see those three: Sugar, Salesforce, Microsoft. Whenever you're doing a gathering of any of the popular CRMs, the three of those are always together if you're looking for a new CRM. But you may be using one or the other, looking to replace, just looking to compare, trying to figure out what your options are. But that's a very common comparison: Sugar, Salesforce, and Microsoft.
Awesome. And it looks like we've got quite a diverse group here. Under 20% using Salesforce, almost 30% using Sugar.
So far, yeah.
We've got under 10% on Microsoft. We've got a lot of others and quite a few on none. So we'll close the poll. Hopefully for those of you who have selected none, we will be able to shed some light on some interesting choices today. So what you should be seeing here is just a very simple grid on the basics. So Salesforce. Support, pretty similar. They do have a really nice case portal that you're able to just go in and post a ticket and they will reply to you. Also, phone support is an extra $1 option.
Yeah, very similar to Sugar. They've got unlimited support through the portal. Phone support is standard with the Enterprise Edition, and you have to pay extra if you want it with the Professional Edition, but that's almost identical to Salesforce's model.
Excellent. One of the differentiators with Salesforce is that it is on demand, meaning it's hosted in their cloud only. So you can have Salesforce online just like you do Facebook, and you log into it anywhere in the world that has internet, but that's your only option. It's going to be hosted in their cloud.
That's right. And with Sugar, you can still host in the Sugar cloud environment, but you also have the option of putting it in your own private cloud like Amazon or Azure or something like that. Or on premise, you can host Sugar in the the laptop on your desk. So you've got a little bit more deployment options with Sugar.
Great. Limitations. There are going to be limitations on any of these platforms, of course. Salesforce will eventually charge you for data storage if you go over the data limit, and all of those limits are outlined in the PDF guide that we've linked to that you'll have access to. Another thing to consider is API calls. What are API calls? They're really just computer language for sending out calls between applications. It really allows for things to be integrated well. And if you connect up, let's say your intact ERP system or QuickBooks, that's going to be taking up an API call every time it sends data. So you just want to check out that limits guide, but they're giving you a pretty healthy data storage limit and call right off the bat.
And I'm just going to add one note to the Salesforce. Even though I'm not representing Salesforce today, you can get a version of Salesforce that has unlimited API calls, but it's expensive. You have to pay for it.
That's right.
Now with Sugar, you don't have API limits. You can make as many calls as you want, but just like Salesforce, you do have data limits. So if you go over the set limits for the edition that you're on, you have to pay for it. It's not a lot, but there is a limit. Now, it's also important to know with both Salesforce and Sugar, the data storage applies to attached files and not the amount of data you have. So you can have, any number of records, but if you're attaching files like audio files or video files or PDFs and other kinds of documents to records, it's those kinds of attached files that count against your data storage for both products.
Both products, that's correct. The architecture, Salesforce is built on an Apex language, and that is an Oracle-based coding language that is not really taught in college. So that's just, good to note that if you want to do any hard coding in that product, you're going to have to find someone who knows Apex or a partner like BrainSell to make those changes. Now, I just want, doing something very outside. That's not with both of these products, but most of the things that you're going to be doing with both products are going to be point and click. So someone like myself who doesn't even know HTML or Java, I can make changes to both of these platforms, adding fields and switching views around.
Apex is a flavor of Java. And you may hear about that online, but don't think that you can program in Apex just because you know Java, because there's so many specialized calls, routines inside the Apex language that it really does require an Apex certification to use. PHP is what Sugar uses. It's at its core, and that is a much more common language, a little easier than Java, some people say, and but it's just easy to get people who can develop in PHP. You don't have to have certifications. You don't have to go out and learn a specialized language.
But again, their point and click changes are very simple for both products. So that's good to know.
It is a little bit misleading to think that the architecture is important, but it may not be important to you.
Yeah. If it's a simple implementation, there really shouldn't be a reason that you're making code-based changes. But if you want to do those things later on, if you've got an IT house and shop that in-house that knows PHP, that's a plus.
That's right. What about user minimums, Sonja?
Yeah, so there aren't any in Salesforce. They do have a contact, like a really cheap version. We'll talk about pricing after our demo.
Low cost.
Low cost, great value, low cost. And that has a user max, where then you have to graduate up to the professional and enterprise editions of Salesforce. But to get in the door with professional or enterprise, there is no user minimum for Salesforce.
And there is a user minimum with Sugar, and that's a 10 user minimum, irrespective of the editions. So you can be on professional edition, that's 10 users, $4,800, or enterprise edition, 10 users, $7,800 annually.
All right, well, let the cat out of the bag there.
Oh boy. Well, that's just a preview. It's just a preview. It's called foreshadowing.
We'll do a preview and then the full pricing after. And we've also got some interesting kind of things we've done with the pricing, which we'll show you on a scale for more practical use, what each product will cost at scale. So we'll do that after the demo. What do you think, Kev? Let's hand it over to myself?
I think, yeah, hand it over to you. Right.
Okay, wonderful. So,
I can't wait to see this.
It is fantastic. So just a little switch of
We're getting a few questions out there, and I'll answer them while you're pulling that up. If you want to get in contact with us for a deeper comparison, you go to our website and call us or chat with us. We've got live chat on the website, or send an email to us. We're going to have contact information at the end of the demonstration. Oh, look at that. There's
Hey,
Salesforce. Love it.
Amazing. And then guys, we'll get to the rest of the questions either as we pick them off through chat, and we'll also discuss them at the end here after the pricing. So great, looks like you can see my screen. I am logged into Salesforce, and here I'm just going to start my mental timer here at 2:13, Kevin. So I'm going to allow myself 10 minutes here, and again, we'll try to get you guys out of here early. But what I have here is a dashboard, which is great. We've got a dashboard of Salesforce, and this really shows me anything I want to see in report format, in list view format, you name it, I can see it. Right here, this is showing just a general pipeline report, and I can see, you know, my performance as a sales rep, either just for myself or for my team. I will say this, that both products are really good at user permissions. So if I'm not allowed to see a different, you know, the West Coast sales team's numbers, I won't see those anywhere in either product. So that's really good to know that both of these systems are very highly permission based and easy to show people or not show people things, fields or data. Again, a list view, and there are so many different things that I can do with dashboards. It's really great. This is kind of just my home base while I'm logging in. News, you know, great. I can even filter in news from companies that I'm following too. It will automatically put news in about companies that I have in my database, which is pretty cool. And then if I've got anything scheduled, and they do have a really nice kind of UI, cute pictures going on, and then shows me recent records, recent opportunities, really anything. Now, things in both systems really start at the lead level. So what is a lead? It's an unqualified opportunity, really, sales opportunity or sales prospect. People have so many different names for these, but a lead is a lead in both systems, and this is someone who maybe has raised their hand for more information, but they really haven't set up a meeting yet, and I don't know what they want to buy from me yet. So they sit in this bucket, and this is a list view of leads. You can see that Salesforce comes out of the box with some really nice filter options, just things that are open, recently viewed, today's leads, things that I need to follow up on today, and then I can create filters on the fly. In so many different options here, slicing and dicing my data and even memorizing those filters and sharing them out to my group. So that's pretty nice. So let's go into an existing lead, and then we'll also create a lead as well. But let's just look at one that's already been created. And we're going to Sarah's record. And what you're seeing, by the way, I'm just going to say this because for those of you who know Salesforce, this is the Lightning edition. They do, in the new versions, you can toggle between Lightning and Classic. So if this looks new to you and you've seen Salesforce in the past, it is a bit of a new view, which is great. It's their new UI. So what I'm seeing up here is a progress bar. This is new too for the UI, user interface. And this walks the user through a path. They're called paths in Salesforce. And each path, I might have to fill out more fields or do something unique. And as I fill out those fields or make those steps, however my administrators set it up, it will move that progress bar along until I've converted it. And when you convert a lead, it then creates a contact, which is that person, an account, which is the company that person works at, and the opportunity is the thing that they're selling. Now, this may vary, of course, for your business, right? If you're selling B2C, you may not have finite opportunities like that, but you know, that's fine. You can really manipulate the system to work for your business. So there's also a little help bubble, so you can fill these out as an admin and really guide people through the system for success. If I go down here, I've got activity where I can very simply log a call. All I had to do was click in here, and then I'll say, you know, went well, wants a lunch date, and save, and saves it really fast. It adds it to things that I've done, and I can see here that I've logged a call. So it does give me like this really nice graphical kind of timeline to show me what's going on here. Chatter is a really neat tool. It's kind of, it does just like the name says, it's a collaboration tool where people can chatter back and forth, ask questions, even post a poll for people to vote on. But I can share an update. You know, I'm going skiing this weekend, but of course, it's probably more appropriate to talk about the account or the lead, which you can also do through here. And then people can like, comment it, very much like Facebook. There's a lot that you can do with Chatter. Details or other fields on the lead. And this is the stuff that you're probably looking for, right? And if I want to edit a record, I press the pencil and it brings me to an edit screen. You'll notice it's a bit different in Sugar. I think it's maybe more of a streamlined view actually. And so Kevin will show us that in a minute. Great, and address information goes right in. There is a really nice integration to Google Maps and also Google News, really anything that's happening with this company on the account level. When I convert this, you'll be able to see too. Files, and so this is really enough for the lead. I've made really good contact with Sarah, and I'm going to now convert her, select that converted status, which means, you know, internally something's happened and you really need to make that call. You need to make the call of, yes, I'm converting it because of why, a business rule perhaps. The business rule may be, you know what they want to buy, or they've set up a lunch date, right? Those are some of the things that could really, you know, pivot you to converting the person. So what it's prompting me to do is create an account. Great. I could also associate Sarah with an existing account if this account already existed. And Salesforce will look through a duplicate as well to see if there's a duplicate in the system. I've then got the opportunity, or I can skip that. So I'm going to create an opportunity, or I don't have to, and it's going to create a new Sarah as well as a contact. And I will convert this right now. Yay, it's been converted. I get a congratulatory flag. And now I can go right into MedLife Inc. There have been no duplicates found. They have improved this functionality. They really have. Duplicates are a pain for CRM users, and this will try to pick up on it before it happens. I've got all the basic stuff that I need up here, and I've got activities yet again, and all that related info, which should look pretty similar to the lead. So I'm comfortable here. Now, what's this opportunity about? So I'm just going to hover over that opportunity. Actually, that's the account name, and it will give me a summation of the account. If I click on the opportunity, it will bring me into that data element where I click into the opportunity, and you'll see that bar, right? That path is bringing me through the BrainSell sales process. And again, this is canned. This is from a demo instance because I want to show everyone this is what you get out of the box. And you're going to be able to customize these paths pretty simply, actually, by renaming them and then forcing or guiding people to do certain things throughout each step of the path. So putting in a description, confirming budget, and then down here, I've got maybe some activities, tasks, even emails. This is a really neat thing. I can connect to 365 or Gmail right from here and actually send outbound emails through this interface. And it's pretty easy to do. A new event, which will add it to my calendar. If I've got, again, Outlook or Gmail, there's a free connector that you get, or even a task. So this might be follow up on proposal, and I need to do that tomorrow, assigned to me, related to a couple things. And look at that. This is an interesting thing that Salesforce is good at. We'll bring up Sarah right up here, associated with this task, and save. So now it adds it to my timeline, and tomorrow I have something to do. It's going to be, of course, added to my dashboard. And if I have tasks syncing with my Outlook, it will also appear in my task area in Outlook, which is great. I will then progress a little bit. So I'll show you guys just fields that are moving and progressing. You know, you could make these required so that you could not move to the next step without filling something out. In the demo database, they leave it pretty open for you to really play around and not get stuck. And yes, I've completed my discovery. So again, you're going to be able to customize all these fields for you. Moving on. Awesome. We're going to mark it as the current stage, and there we go. Now this, of course, changes by pipeline. So these are pipeline stages. On the top, proposal, that's that is a stage, a sales stage in my opportunity, and that's going to be weighting my pipeline differently. So Kevin's going to show us pretty much the same stuff. Wow, I'm right on the money with 10 minutes, Kevin. Again, all we're doing is taking you through lead to cash. If you guys want a more deep dive demo, we'll absolutely provide that. Haven't even gone into reporting, calendar, contracts, documents, anything like that. But we've got all that capability in Salesforce to show. So
yeah, there's a lot more. Yeah, both these products, like I said earlier, these are this is a very high level comparison. So I'm going to go through some similar stuff.
All right, fantastic. I will be handing it over to you, Kevin.
All right, let me share my screen. I think I can just take it, can't I? No, maybe not.
There we go.
A few questions I can answer while my screen comes up. There's a question from Amanda about how long Sugar's been around. Salesforce predates Sugar by just a few years, not a lot. Sugar was founded or released in 2004, and I think Salesforce came out in 1999.
Sounds right.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Both tools can be configured through a configuration panel. That's a question that Patrick had, and the configuration panels are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And Paul, you were asking about single sign-on. So both tools have SSO support. There are some other questions we'll get to later. I hope that didn't take away from my 10 minutes, Sonja.
No, we'll start you now at 25 past.
Start the timer. All right. I've logged in here to my dashboard. I've logged in as this guy you can see in the upper right-hand corner. His name's Jim. Jim is a fictitious user. He's a VP of sales, but he also carries his own account. So you're going to see this from a couple of perspectives. A person who owns his own accounts, pursues his own sales, but he's also a manager, so he sees some other things. On this dashboard, what can I see? Well, I can see my leads. I can see opportunities by lead source. I can see, if I scroll down, go-to data. I can click and follow Alexa, or go straight to her company. If I want to pull up some other dashboards, I can see a team calendar. This is going to let me know what my colleagues are doing or what I've got on my calendar, and this is completely tied in to Outlook. So this would presumably be the same calendar I'd see if I opened up Outlook or my mobile device. Other dashboards, social media monitoring. Now, this is not to say that we're automatically doing social media pushes and pulls, but you can monitor stuff if you configure this properly. Or my home dashboard. Just examples of things you can see. Now, you're going to see Dashlets a little bit farther down in the tool. One of the things that's important to note is that a Dashlet, these square boxes here, are graphical, like the pipeline chart, or they could be tabular, like my contacts. And like I said, as we drill down into the tool, we're going to see Dashlets a little farther down, other ways to use them. I'm going to go back to a dashboard that I called my dashboard. Come on, let's get my drop down here. Because I want to click over to a lead. Here's Jeff Bezos. Jeff came to our website, or I entered him by hand. Somehow Jeff became a lead, and I can see information about Jeff. I can fill out the standard stuff, his title, his phone numbers and addresses. This is entirely configurable. So if you want to show more or show less, you can. You can create your own panels or your own tabs. Whatever kind of information you want here, you can add in through point-and-click configuration. His favorite ice cream flavor, if you need to.
Kevin, can you just add a mobile number so we see what it looks like to edit a record?
I can.
There we go.
978-500.
So that's a bit different right there. If you see that it just doesn't take you to a different screen. It's very subtle in Salesforce, not a huge deal. It does render a bit of an edit screen though. So it's a very subtle difference, but just wanted to point that out.
The Dashlets, I promised, you can see, are off to the right-hand side, but I'm going to collapse this. Now I can edit this panel or create new panels. It's up to me, what I want to put in the right-hand side. Of course, they're defaults. I don't have to take the defaults. I can edit it. But for now, I'm going to collapse this right-hand panel and give myself a little bit more space. Now, Jeff, I could convert Jeff. Let's say, just like with Salesforce, I've decided that Jeff is worthy. He's probably got a few dollars and ready to spend. So I can connect Jeff. Now, notice I had Jeff's account as TCAT Media. It found a TCAT Media and says, you probably want to select and relate Jeff to an existing account you've got. And at this point, I can also create an opportunity, but I'm not going to. I'm going to create an existing opportunity. Now, there are multiple opportunities with TCAT Media. You're going to see that in a moment. But what Sugar's done is it says, oh, there's only one that's in progress. So if you're going to relate it to one, it'll probably be this one. Is that right? And I say yes. Okay, so I've just converted Jeff. I've associated him with an existing account, and I've associated him with an existing opportunity. I'm going to jump straight to that account. And now you can see a similar sort of screen. I've got my primary information here. I've got some sub panels down below, and yes, I know I'm using jargon. And I've got dashboards on the right-hand side. We affectionately call this right-hand panel the sidecar, the info pane. This is configurable by you at this level too. You can see here I've got some graphical stuff that shows me all the opportunities I've got with TCAT Media. If I scroll down, I can see support cases and planned calls and activities. So this gives me a lot of information if I want to have it available on the right-hand side, but I like my real estate, so I'm going to collapse that right-hand panel. What am I looking at here? Well, I'm looking at, again, a configurable panel, name, phone number, website address, addresses, other stuff. I can expand this and show more. I can collapse it. And if I wanted to, I don't have to accept these as panels. I can create these as tabs across the top, whatever I think is most appropriate and most appealing. If I expand this sub panel, yeah, there's a little more jargon. I can see all the people associated with this company. Oh, there's Jeff right there. I can see some other folks. I can expand it and get lots of people who are associated with TCAT Media. Remember on my homepage, I saw Alexa Christmas. There's Alexa Christmas. And I could drill down and follow her and get some information about Alexa. But what's more important to me are the opportunities. I can see all the opportunities, and indeed, here's the one that I associated with Jeff. That's the opportunity that's in progress. So I'm going to follow that opportunity. Now, I'm working with Jeff. I'm working with maybe Alexa. I'm working with lots of folks at TCAT Media. So I'm going to add Alexa here. I'm going to add an existing record. I'm going to search for Alexa. This is letting me find people that are in my system and associate them with this company or with this record. Oh, I did the wrong thing. I didn't want to associate a lead. Sorry about that. I meant to associate a contact. She's a contact. I'm going to expand my contacts panel. There's Jeff. Now I'm going to associate Alexa. And one of the things that Sonja showed us with Salesforce is a process flow. Sugar also has a process flow. In fact, Sugar's got a fantastic back-end process engine combined with this thing called customer journeys. A customer journey is like a process that allows you to follow a person or an opportunity through a prescribed set of steps. It's kind of like a coach. It tells you what you should be doing next. It also allows me as maybe a manager to look at any given record like an opportunity, like this opportunity, and see where things are. I may not be the person working this opportunity, but I can tell that Max Jensen, the kid who is working this opportunity, is progressing this opportunity properly. So you can see that he's just started it. He's got a couple of things done. He's outlined the customer requirements. He's identified who the power players are. He's got some third-party pricing, so he knows who his competition is, but he hasn't finished booking a meeting for the presentation. So that's why he hasn't moved on. Now, I could say this is totally complete. I can edit, I can preview it, whatever I need to do before I move on to the next stage in the opportunity. This is allowing me to book the meeting for the presentation. So this is very, very similar to what Sonja showed us. It's a different layer. It looks different, but it's very similar in the end results. It allows me to monitor where things are going in this opportunity or in the way I'm dealing with the customer. Oops, wouldn't be a demo if I didn't have errors. I'm going to go back to the opportunity, TCAT Media, and show you some other things that are going to be important to me. Now, Sonja, how much time do I have left? I'm not looking at my timer.
2 minutes.
Oh my gosh, 2 minutes. So in this customer journey, you know, I'm going to be looking at phone calls or holding phone calls with Jeff and Alexa and other folks. And I'm hopefully going to be keeping track of meetings and tasks, things that I have to do either that face the customer or behind the scenes. All of these things are going to allow me to ultimately close and win this opportunity. Now, the one thing that I want to show you that's unique here is with Sugar, you have the idea of revenue line items. So each line, an opportunity can be broken up into multiple line items, and I can save I can win or lose line item opportunities separately from the entire opportunity. So imagine it's like an advertisement for in a magazine. You've got 1 year's worth of an opportunity, but it's broken up into 12 monthly line items. Or you could be selling software and hardware. In this case, I've got 3 separate line items that I've got different close dates and different stages on. It allows me to win or lose each one separately. So I'm going to edit this and say, I lost this one, that's why it's at 0.
And I just want to interject and say that Salesforce has the same thing just through the products catalog, which is basically the same. So it is very similar.
I think you're going to find that nothing we've shown you today is going to be, we haven't shown you anything that's exclusive to either product. Both products have everything we've shown you. They just surface in different ways. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to exceed my 10 minutes. I just adjusted a couple of line items, and now you notice the whole opportunity changes up here. So with that, I think we're done, and it's time to take some questions. What did you say, Sonja?
Yeah, well, we've got a couple more slides, so I'm just going to hand it back over to our main screen here.
You're going to steal it away from me, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are going to show really quickly some pricing here.
Well, I already gave them the foreshadowing of pricing.
You sure did. That's okay. That's quite all right. So it's pretty straightforward. And you know what, just for fun, Kev, we're going to show the webcam.
Oh, there's the webcam again. Wow.
So here we go. We've got Salesforce is pretty straightforward. They did just go through a bit of a price increase about 6 months ago, and everything is detailed on their website. These are the 2 main versions that we see. Again, there is that contact product, and that's on the website at $25. That's more of a contact manager. So you can check that out on their website, but the professional version is going to be $75 a user a month. Enterprise is $150 per user per month.
Yeah, similar sort of pricing. They're both very simple. Professional and enterprise, same names too. Sugar's obviously a little lower cost. Now the better comparison is enterprise and enterprise versions aren't exactly the same. There are some feature differences. So most of the time we compare Sugar Professional to Salesforce Enterprise. It's not entirely fair because Enterprise does have more features than Sugar Professional, but it's the closest comparison. Yep.
And on a scale, I mean, if you were just to multiply these, I will say that yeah, we're running at about 2x the cost, you know, if not a bit more, right? So there definitely is a premium for Salesforce.
It's also important to note, sorry to interrupt, that Sugar does have that 10 user minimum.
Yeah.
So depending on the number of users you've got, Salesforce could be lower cost.
But it takes 4 professional sales users,
right,
Salesforce users, to make it even with 10 Sugar, right? So that's what if you're looking at 2 users of CRM and that's it. Well, Salesforce might be a a little too much of a Cadillac Ferrari for you anyway. But once you hit 4 users of Salesforce, it's the same price as buying 10 of Sugar. Yep. So a lot of times we do see that, and you might as well just get 10 and you'll grow up to it eventually, even if you just got 5 users of Sugar.
One other thing to note, both Salesforce and Sugar also have an additional level beyond the enterprise.
Ultimate.
But I think there are like 3 companies that use those.
They're not that many. And then, there are, phone support on top of some of these.
There are plenty of add-ons.
Oh, there sure are. Now, we always get asked, and I'm sure this is in the question, which we'll be getting to the questions next. We always get asked, well, why would we go with either? Well, it could be a UI thing, right? User interface. You've just seen both, and maybe you prefer one or the other, and money's not an issue. A lot of time it is budget, which is very understandable. Sometimes with Salesforce, it's also that maybe, you've got NetSuite or Intact ERP, and both of those have out-of-the-box connectors. Yeah, they charge for the connectors to the CRM, but it's just a pre-built connector that's been in the marketplace for a decade, and it's kind of plug and play. So it might be a lower barrier of entry and a lower development cycle for Salesforce because that integration is already there.
Right.
So there are use cases where, like, we have this other system that one of our partners uses and it's already integrated to Salesforce. Well, that makes sense.
There are plenty of instances also where you may have you may have a third-party product that you need, and that third-party product only works with either Sugar or Salesforce.
Yep.
So that may be another reason that you can push towards one of these CRMs.
Both have really strong ecosystems, I will say that. The App Exchange for Salesforce is incredible. You can go on that page and just search. You're going to get things like Slack that's integrated. Sugar has one for Slack as well. Concur, the expense app. Like, there's so many really neat apps that are out there that you can just add in. Think of the Apple App Store. These guys had it before Apple did too.
We got a lot of questions.
We do.
A lot of questions.
So we're going to bring those up, and we might reiterate some of them. But here, we'll display this over here, Kevin.
So there's a great question here. To the casual observer, these two vendors offer very similar products. You're right. But like we just said, there could be something in the details that's going to mitigate against one or the other. So that's why you should call us, because if you've got generic requirements, you may want to go with the lowest price. Or if you've got generic requirements, you may see that, oh, my sales staff really knows Salesforce because half of them had it in their previous job. We're going to go with the more costly version because that's going to increase our adoption.
Sure. Very, very good point. I have heard this one a lot. So this is the first question. Which CRM system requires the least consulting services for out-of-the-box functionality?
Yes.
We get this all the time, and they're extremely similar. We've got some startup packages on our website, and I'll show that here on the screen, where we've got Salesforce and Sugar startups, quick starts, and they're extremely similar. The a number of hours is very similar. It depends, of course, on what your needs are, right? You can't just say it costs X to build a house, right? You're always going to have to explore what exactly you're looking for and what your requirements are, but they're very similar.
There's another one here. I like this question because there's another one we get a lot said in a different way. Orla's asking, what would you say is the biggest advantage of Sugar over Salesforce and vice versa? This is my opinion.
Sure.
I'm sure you've got yours.
Yep.
I think the benefit is in the way they think. Sugar is kind of like the Android. Salesforce is kind of like the iPhone, right? So with Sugar, you can say, I really love Sugar as a CRM, and I need to integrate it to a lot of different things, and they've got an open API, and I want to do a lot of hacking. Mm-hmm. So Sugar may be more appropriate. So I think that's the advantage Sugar has. But if you turn that around, you may say, man, my company, we want the platform play. So Salesforce has that platform where I get everything I want on one platform. So it's kind of the same idea, just turn around and look at it from a different perspective. Sugar is not the platform play. It allows you to get the best of breed of everything, but right. Salesforce is the platform play. Right. And you may want that.
I would agree with that. I agree. And I think I've already said this before, but a lot of times we'll have people come to us and say, we need this and this and this integration no matter what. And if they're already built for one or the other, sometimes that is enough to make the choice. Both are very similar in what they do, extremely similar. So sometimes it comes down to integrations or cost. And another question that looks pretty similar from Jim is, which is easier to maintain on as a local administrator, Salesforce or Sugar? We admin both, right? Because we develop on both. The studio sections of these products are very similar.
And they're both easy to maintain.
They're very similar. There are a couple things about Salesforce which are a little better as an admin. Like if you want to populate at first when you're building your system and you want to have these 50 fields, these 50 custom fields in the account entity, you can actually upload a list of the fields and it will just populate the card. Whereas in Sugar, you need to hand enter them. So there are some like really little tweaky things that, that I think only people like us would really know. But again, the development efforts for these are very similar. So to admin, I'd say it's going to depend on your use case. It's very similar. And then if you think that you're going to have a lot of integrated apps, then it may be easier on the Salesforce platform because they do have more apps that are built for the platform. They're not all free, obviously, but sometimes it's easier just to add those things in as an admin if it's on the App Store through Salesforce. Here's
another specialized question, but another important one. Are these platforms HIPAA or PCI compliant? And there's a lot behind that question. Both can be. Salesforce, because they're hosted in their own cloud, Salesforce, it is the server platform is HIPAA compliant, but how do you use it?
They charge extra for HIPAA compliancy. And I can't even quote, we can't even quote that out. You need someone at Salesforce to do that. It depends on your data structure and all of that. But they do offer a HIPAA compliant hosting service for Salesforce and PCI as well. With the PCI compliance, it doesn't really apply to CRM systems because PCIs all have
well, if you're taking payments. If
you're taking payments through them, so that would really be reliant on the payment gateway and what you're storing in the CRM. So it depends on what you're doing in the system.
Sugar is not PCI compliant. HIPAA compliant in their own hosting environment. But because of the Sugar hosting structure, you can deploy Sugar in your own cloud, which is HIPAA compliant. So you can have both platforms be HIPAA compliant. You just have to go about it in different ways.
Yep, absolutely. And you can even host Sugar on premise, right? So if your on-premise servers are HIPAA compliant, then there you go, you're compliant. This is a good one, offline capabilities of mobile apps. So we didn't even talk about the mobile app. Again, we're time constrained, but I'll say two really important things that come out of the box with both products are mobile app and Outlook Gmail integration. So with Salesforce, they do have a little one-up because they give you a Gmail integration and an Outlook integration, where Sugar just gives you an Outlook integration, and they're both awesome. So they're both great. With mobile, they're both awesome as well. Salesforce has the Salesforce One platform and their mobile, which I think is a little easier to use the interface. Again, it is a little Apple, like the last show that we went to for Salesforce, at a booth, we just made our mobile app right there, and it was really cool. But you can do the same thing with Sugar through their new SDK. They just released it.
For you nerdy folks, Sugar did just release an SDK that's really nice. They re-architected the mobile platform, and that makes it easier for the end user to develop special capabilities and features themselves. The single sign-on, I think you addressed that. You can support single sign-on for both products, yes.
Call recordings. This is a fun question.
Yes, it is.
So will Sugar have access to call recording data on my servers or any other system? So both systems can do that. It depends on what you use for a phone system, of course. Let's say you use RingCentral, and RingCentral is holding that voice recording on their servers. You would want to just create a link back in Sugar or Salesforce to the link of the recording. So you can do that in either. Again, it's going to come down to the integration. What's your phone system integrated to out of the box? Does it need a connector? We're going to have to do research on that.
We want to keep this to 45. Should we wrap up?
We're just going to keep going through the questions, but again, everyone will get the recording of this. So let's hit all the questions.
Now, Michelle, you had a very, very important question that's near and dear to my heart. You're asking if there's a good good choice for a life insurance company, call me. We're,
We do a lot with insurance.
yeah, we do a lot with insurance. And in fact, we've built an add-on to Sugar for insurance companies. Give me a call here and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see.
Salesforce, nonprofits.
Yeah, they do have a nonprofit. So Salesforce for nonprofit, Salesforce gives you 10 users for free. Just like no questions asked. You just have to show them proof of your 501(c).
501(c).
Yeah.
3Ds.
So you can get 10 users of Salesforce Pro for free. Anything over that, they're going to charge you for, and they have a nonprofit division that handles nonprofits. Sugar doesn't have a free thing, but again, it's a lot less expensive. So it depends on how many users you have. It could be cheaper actually to get Sugar if you have, more than 20 users or 14 users. It would be worth it. So great question. Let's see. Yes, both scale for phone and tablet because you've got the amazing out of the box mobile apps that both have. We do have confirmation. Thank you from the audience. Salesforce did start February 1999.
I was right. Woo.
Happy birthday, Salesforce.
Do I get a prize?
You're almost 20. Outlook plugin for Sugar. So Scott asked, yes, do we have an Outlook plugin? Yes, we do. So we did address that. Sorry. That's out of the box. There are also in that ecosystem that we keep talking about, there's so many different plugins that you can get that are the ones that are just premier, right? That you have to pay for, but both systems come with free out of the box Outlook connectors. Mm-hmm. Oh, does Sugar have a product similar to Chatter? We actually are developing one. Yeah, BrainSell.
Doesn't exist today. There are add-ons. That goes back to the paradigm of Sugar.
There are some, but they're, and there's Slack integrated to Sugar.
Right.
But we have one in the works that's pretty interesting.
Freaking awesome.
So we'll be sharing that eventually. And yeah, we showed Sugar Enterprise. The only thing that was different about Sugar Enterprise is that they had the revenue line items, which are those products that you relate to the ops, right?
And that's correct. There are some other differences between Pro and Enterprise.
I don't think you showed them though.
I didn't show them though, but there are other differences. You got advanced workflow. You got advanced reporting.
Phone support,
line items on ops. Those are the main ones. Those are the four main ones.
Yep, you have a sandbox.
Sandbox.
So you have to pay extra at Salesforce for a sandbox. But yeah, that about does it. Snapon Apps. So I like that. Chris said, are there more Snapon apps for Salesforce or Sugar? Yeah, Salesforce does have more apps out there in the marketplace. They do charge, they're called ISVs, basically developers who make these apps. They charge them to be on the ecosystem, which Sugar doesn't. So Sugar has a very impressive amount of apps, really impressive. So check those out. Salesforce, they do have more. Yeah, they had a Super Bowl commercial a couple years ago too. So, right.
What I like when I talk about the environment, the ecosystem for Sugar and Salesforce, I like to point out Sugar has a lot of add-ons, but anybody can write an add-on.
Right.
Whereas Salesforce, also lots of add-ons, but they're vetted more closely. So if something's in the App Exchange, it's probably been vetted. And also, if you're going to write code for Salesforce, you got to be certified. So that kind of sets a barrier to entry to write Salesforce apps over Sugar.
Right.
Doesn't mean that all the Sugar apps are bad, but it does mean that some of the Sugar apps are bad.
Well, some of them won't work with the current version.
That's true too, yeah.
And that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen. But this is a great question, and this one's near and dear to our hearts too. Does either platform natively or via connector support integration with service desks like Jira or ServiceNow? Yeah, they do. Jira does have an integration with Sugar. They have one with Salesforce too. ServiceNow, I believe they have an out of the box with Salesforce and not with Sugar.
Sure. Not that I know of.
But both have the same case management in their CRM, right? So Salesforce, we haven't even gotten into this, has Marketing Cloud, Service Cloud, a whole bunch of different clouds.
The platform,
Financial Force, it's all there. And if you want to pay another $90 user a month, or 75, I think still is for Service Desk. So you can also get a different stack item with Salesforce to give you really advanced support, rather like case management functionality, much like Zendesk or Freshdesk ServiceNow would do. But yeah, they have a lot of those integrations. Yeah, yes. Is the customer journey in Sugar available on the Pro version only, the Enterprise version?
No, it is available in any edition, but it's an add-on for both.
Okay. And it usually makes more sense to have customer journey on Enterprise because you get that really advanced workflow, and it kind of only makes sense to have customer journey if you're able to make workflows happen upon each stage. So that's another question for another day as well. Let's see, storage limit out of the box. That's a great blog post item.
I think we've got a post about that. It's old, but
yeah,
the data hasn't changed.
We'll have to update that. So that's something that's very easy to find on their site. I'd have to pull that up. Don't know from memory.
Data tracks. I don't know about an API for data tracks. Patrick, you may have to contact us. We can look it up for you.
Yep. And that's what everyone, we get people saying, oh, is there an integration for this or that? So does it have an API? If it has an API and it's documented, let's look at it. And the chances are we can probably integrate it with either system.
Probably.
It's not going to be a 10-hour exercise. Usually it's probably going to take more than that. But it's possible. Let's see, we're getting down there, huh?
Yeah, we got one just popped up. This is the last question in the list. How elaborate are integrations for financial firms? How elaborate do you want them to be?
Well, a net worth from Oliver to be shown on a dashboard. So net worth, where is that data coming in from? Is it coming in from like a, Bloomberg terminal, or like I'd say there are some pretty specific overlays for Salesforce. You're going to find that too. You might find out there, if you're looking for an industry specific app, that you'll find something like, let's just make up a name, financial tracks. The financial tracks, they say they're their own system, but it's just we call it an overlay, where they've built this big package of customizations for Salesforce and they've just plopped it on top of Salesforce. So you'll find that a lot. And then there may be some interesting integrations to your financial platforms. But there's definitely been the same for Salesforce, or Sugar rather, right?
It's all a matter of the question you've asked, Tom, kind of sounds like you want to surface data that already exists, because a net worth is something you're probably getting from one of your legacy systems. Right. So it's a matter of surfacing that inside Sugar or Salesforce. And that's a fairly straightforward integration. Or it could be as simple as pointing a box, a dashlet, to that legacy system and just displaying what's in that legacy system inside Sugar without being able to act on it.
Yeah, not holding the data.
The integration is important. Yep. So your question is, that's why I said, how elaborate do you want to get?
Yep. This is a great question too. And we have a lot of insight into this because we've been doing this for a long time. What's the average annual license increase from each vendor in the last 3 years?
I was trying to avoid that question, but okay.
Well, I know, so just from memory, I know that I think Sugar has increased once.
They've been twice since we've been working with them.
No, but for 10 years. So, but once in the last 3 years, maybe it was 4 years ago, and that was only $5 per user per month. So it was minor. So each version, Pro and Enterprise, went up $5. And when we started with them 10 years ago, it was $5 less as well. So in 10 years, they've only gone up $10 per version. Now I'm gonna have to dial it back for Salesforce.
Well, they just had that most recent price increase. I don't know.
That was 25.
Yeah.
That was 25 per version. That was 6 months ago for Salesforce.
Right. So it's probably unlikely Salesforce is going to go up again, but you never know.
Oh no, I mean it will, but
I mean anytime soon. This year.
Probably not this year because they just went up 6 months ago, but you never know. But their price increase was 5 times that. No. 4 times.
Yeah, I get you.
4 times that of Sugar's increase. So you're going to get that on scale. Yeah. No, there's another question here about, can you lock that price? And that's all up to what you work out with the Salesforce direct sales team, right? And there are, some.
And we can help you with that too. So if you're concerned about price increases over time, call us and we can certainly work out a plan where you lock that cost in through financing or something like that. So we've got a lot of creative ways to lock in your price if that's what you're concerned about.
Yep. And I think that's an interesting thing that a partner has and we can help you with. We kind of advocate for our clients, and that we will work with direct teams at both of the organizations to get you the best license deal possible, especially if you're interested in signing a multi-year contract. Like any software company likes that, and they'll do some special things for you if you're willing to.
That's right.
I haven't seen any other questions come in, and we're right at the top of the hour.
Yeah,
just about. So we will be sending everyone the recording, and send us in response to that recording email. If you'd like to see us do any other comparison webinars or specific webinars, please let us know, and we'll try to put them on the docket. I think I won.
No.
Yeah, we're just very competitive here, but great job, Kevin. High five. And thank you everyone very much for joining. We hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.